Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for the first Purge. So the first Purge is a prequel to the other three Purge movies that are in a trilogy that go the Purge Anarchy, and the Purge Election Year. And this one follows quite literally the first Purge that there is. It's just, the Purge is this experimental event where for 12 hours a night on one, I think it's the same night every year, they decide to purge. So basically, for 12 hours, all crime is legal, including murder. So you can murder someone, you can rob someone, you can do anything illegal, you can do drugs, and it's legal. It's completely okay. And then at the end of those 12 hours, life remains normal again. And this one just follows the first experiment that is done on Staten Island, and it follows sort of a few different subplots with African American people. One woman is at a church and she's trying to get as many people in as she can for it to be safe. One of them is this guy who he said that he was going to Brooklyn, but then he stays behind to purge. And then there's this drug dealer guy, and all the subplots kind of, they swivel together. It kind of feels like a TV show, honestly. Now, the first Purge is a very useless movie, is kind of what it feels like. Obviously, the intention of this movie was to make its money back on opening weekend, and of course it did. It had like a $5 million budget, and I'm not sure how much it made opening weekend. I'm guessing it was somewhere in the 10 million range, so of course they already made their budget back. And of course they will make another one of these, and another movie, and of course they have their TV show coming out. So really, this is a franchise that's probably going to be around until they're making the 7th and 8th one that are straight to DVD. That's really the only purposes of the Purge at this point. So saying that this movie is useless is almost as simple as saying water is wet. Of course it is. That's just what it is. And it's also really annoying that the fact that this movie is called The First Purge, because now when people are talking about the Purge movies and somebody says, hey, I like The First Purge, they're going to say, oh, so you like the prequel? And they'll say, no, I like the first movie, The Purge, and that's it. So, aside from those two completely useless things, The First Purge is an okay movie. It's really nothing all that terrible, because something that the second one had and this one had too is that they are kind of waste of time entertainment movies. You can spend an hour and a half watching them, and in the end you won't come out completely bored. Of course the movie is incompetent in lots and lots of different ways, but the only one that I've seen is the Purge Anarchy. I have not seen the other two, and that one, it was fine. It was entertaining for what it was, and of course it had millions and millions of problems, but in the end of the day, I wasn't bored while watching it. And that's what you can also say about this one. And of course, this movie has everything wrong that the other Purge movies have. It's overly violent to the point of being grotesque. It has social commentary that's very unsubtle and very forced. And just everything else about the movie is just generally wrong. And structurally, it's really weird. The characters are flat and one note and stereotypical, and there's this one strong buff guy in it that he's basically invincible. He's so strong that it's completely unreasonable, and he is just a god with guns. He can shoot with a pistol from 2 miles away, can shoot and hit something, until the one moment in the movie where it matters that he shoots something, of course. It's just bad script things like that. The biggest disappointment of the first Purge, I guess, is the fact that they didn't explore what you could have with this first experiment. Being a first experiment, they do some very standard level things. They show parties, which was kind of interesting, but outside of that, it was just little crime in the beginning, and it ramped up to be more crime, but in the end, you learn that that's just... I'm not going to spoil that, but it is part of the political reasoning. And this movie, unfortunately, is also riddled with plot holes. I don't know if they were in the other Purge movies, because the second one I watched didn't seem to have any, but I may have not been paying attention to it. But this movie was riddled with plot holes, which are all spoiler-filled. So I will actually say my score here, and then I'll get into spoilers for the first Purge, if you care. So in the end, the first Purge Purge is a entertaining but a mess of a movie. It's the type of movie that you watch at 3 in the morning with your friends at a sleepover because you've got nothing else to do. That's all that it serves as, really, and, you know, a way to make money for a studio that doesn't really care about its audience intelligence. And like I said, the TV show is coming out. There's going to be more Purge movies. These movies aren't going to die. It feels like they should have already, but they clearly aren't. And, you know, in the end, the first Purge, it's whatever. I don't really care. I will give the first Purge a 4 out of 10. Alright, so this is my spoiler section for the first Purge. You have been warned. So, some of the biggest issues with the film in terms of plot holes have to do with the political side of things. There is the one woman in it, the psychologist, who she has some really weird guesses for how the experiment is going to go. Basically, she says that the night will probably start with a lot of violence and then it'll ramp down towards the end. That's what her predictions were, and it goes the other way. And the thing is, I feel like these directors, obviously I know they don't care, but they easily could have consulted a psychologist to know that, because I've read one psychology book for my English course this summer, and I know, I've learned about the research of David Phillips, and I know that when a person does something, he measured suicide. So basically, when there was a well-recorded suicide, more people were likely to suicide themselves. So that same thing should go with the Purge. After there's one death and it's marketed that there's one death, more and more deaths should happen to the point that by the end of the night it gets pretty violent if people are really going to purge like that. But they also have the subplot, of course, that the whole point of the Purge is to kill the poor people, and they need to do that. The thing is, they also try to kill the psychologist woman who's there because they can't have her knowing that it's all a political device. So they decide to throw her out into the street and kill her, which is a horrible idea because nobody afterwards is going to wonder where she went. None of the press are going to think, where did she go during the night of the Purge? Nobody. And also, in the room, that room where she first discovers it, there are at least 5 other military people, and sure, they're on his side, and there's one other woman there. And I don't know why they don't try to kill that other woman or try to kill other people so that they don't know. It's just a really, really dumb idea. Yeah, so that was my review for the first Purge. So, what are your thoughts on this film, or what do you think of the Purge trilogy? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.